So I started reading Flirting with Stocks, okay. And in the beginning, you tell like you were doing something of this sort where you were advising people. Can you tell more about your journey?
I had just passed out as a CA and set up practice. I
Okay.
set up practice day one. So I've never worked anywhere. And I had never invested in stocks till I became a qualified chartered accountant. I mean, there was no money also. So when I started practicing and started making some money, that's the first time we started looking at. Uh, so those days, of course, IPOs were a great way of making money
Okay.
because these premiums that you hear now in IPOs, crazy premiums, a 10 rupee share being sold at 300, 400, 500 rupee premium, those were unheard of then. You were not even permitted to. Today you can choose your own premium. That time there was an
Yeah.
authority you had to go to who would say, okay, you may charge. So wonderful shares were available, 10 rupee shares at 3 rupee premium, 5 rupee premium. But because they were such attractive buys, the issues would be heavily oversubscribed, hundreds of times. And therefore, whether you'll get allotment or not was like a lottery. But if you do get it, you could make a nice packet of money. That was one. So I started with IPOs, kept a little fund aside. 99% your application will get rejected because it is oversubscribed. But when it comes back, let's reinvest. Roll it around three, four, five times you do, at least once you can get it. So when I started taking interest in this and we were doing well, so I developed friendship with this sub broker who used to do the secondary market deals for me. And this guy was quite an intelligent fellow. So it was a pleasure to talk to him. You ask about something, he'll give you a lot of information. So not the kind of guys person who goes only by tips and all. So because I developed a good rapport with him and he became a friend of mine, I said three things came together to make this PMS thing that we started. Number one was the fact I was a CA. I'll tell you how that matters. Number two was the fact I owned a PC, a computer, and, and computers were new those days. So I was, I think, the first chartered accountant in Pune to own a PC. I had one,
Wow.
but I didn't know what to do with it. So we used to play games on it in the office, sitting in the office. And number three, I had this friend who was a sub broker. So one day while chatting with him, an idea we came up with, why don't we offer portfolio management services? This guy understands the stock market. Uh, I am a CA, so what we can do is we can combine investment advice and link it with your tax planning also. You might be getting a good price, but we say hold it. If you've been holding these shares for 11 months, let's wait for another 1 month and it'll become a long-term capital gain. So combine the tax advice. So that's where the CA came into the picture. And because we owned a PC, we said we can give you personalized advice. Now, how will that be done? So it was a subscription model. Said if you want to become a member of a portfolio management service, individual uh, personalized advice, tax linked advice, and portfolio management. First of its kind in those days. So, if you want to become a member, you pay a small fee and you become a member. You will get a form. You'll have to tell us all the shares that you hold at that time. And thereafter, we will do two things. We will give you personal advice for what to sell and for what
Okay.
to buy. I mean, that is good for you, good for me, good for everybody. So, for buying, we'll come out with a newsletter. Now, how will we give you personal advice what to sell? So, this friend of mine used to come out with a list of shares that he thinks we should buy and a list of shares he thinks we should exit. Now, for
Okay.
shares to exit, suppose we say sell so and so company share, there's no point calling you up and saying sell unless you hold those shares. But because we
Yeah.
had a PC, the database, you should throw up names. We said sell Reliance. Who has Reliance share? That guy will get a personal call. So it was a very personalized service. Sounded very nice, but it was very, very simple. Brilliant, if I may say so myself, even though it was ours. Now, so we started this activity. Those days, this friend of mine used to recommend a share called Mazda. Mazda leasing.
Oh,
Leasing had
yeah.
become a new very popular activity those days. There's a whole history behind that also. That Mazda Leasing later on got rechristened as Mazda Industries. If you've seen the scam serial of Harshad Mehta, Scam 92, fleetingly they've shown one journalist, I think Sucheta Dalal, taking somebody there and showing a little door written Mazda over here. There was no office there, they said. So fleetingly that mention had come. So I'm talking about Mazda. This friend of mine was recommending you should buy Mazda. So in a newsletter we said, recommended to all our clients, buy Mazda. Mazda was around 14, 15 rupees. And why should you buy Mazda? Because this friend of mine said it will touch 100 rupees, tipped to touch 100 rupees. And we were not just preachers, we were also practitioners. If I recommend to you this is a good share, we'll tell you and we'll also buy. So we told people buy Mazda, we also bought Mazda. Mazda then went up, next newsletter came out, Mazda had become 25. And this friend of mine continued, buy Mazda. Next newsletter, it had gone up to 40, 45. He said, no, buy Mazda, it'll go to 100. And people bought, we bought, and all our members were actually friends. So they trust you blindly. If you say do it, they'll do it. And then one of the stock market crashes came, as it happens every now and then. What happens in a crash? What happens in a boom? When a stock market boom comes, even kachara goes up. Shares that deserve to go up, and shares that don't deserve to go up, those also go up. And when a crash comes, even the best of shares crash. So good old Mazda also crashed and settled down at $6. For me, that was a warning signal. What the hell? We've been saying 100. So kind of, I realized, listen, I'm not cut out for this field. I don't want to do stuff like, telling and feel the guilt later on. So this is a very short-lived activity. First and last time ever, I made money by giving stock market advice. I don't do that. I'm not a consultant. I'm not a broker. I won't tell you what to buy. I teach finance. So we sold the company and we got out of it. Now, I used to have a method in my office where somebody used to monitor my portfolio. I can't do it myself every day. I don't have the temperament for it. But one person in the office was given a job. The moment economic times comes, against all our shares that we hold, put the prices. And every once in a while, I pick up the file. And if you, at a glance, you can then see the prices going up. Because it was, manually maintained. So horizontally, the 30 days of the month are there. For each month, there was one sheet. And Mazda, for months and years together, remain a straight line. 6 rupees, 6 rupees, 6 rupees. Won't budge. One fine day, I picked up that file to routinely check my portfolio. And I saw Mazda had gone up to 8. Now, mind you, a 6 rupee share becoming 8 is a huge rise. And obviously, curious, there's movement in Mazda. I was so used to seeing a straight line against it. Next day's paper, checked Mazda again, it had become 10. Following day, it became 11 and 12 and 14. So wondering, what's happening with Mazda? How come Mazda is going up? And the following day, you receive a letter from Mazda saying we have a rights issue. That means the company is offering to existing shareholders as a matter of right 10 rupee share for $10. And in a right, what happens if you hold 100 shares and if it's a 1:1 right, you can buy 100 shares as a matter of right. Then you apply your intelligence. You say, oh, right, I can put 2 and 2 together. Obviously, this company is rigging up the price so that the rights issue becomes a success. I mean, if it's going to be at 6 rupees, who's going to buy your shares at $10? So the natural reaction that rights offer, you said, yeah, they're trying to fool you, you tear and throw it in the dustbin. Now, rights issue got over, but Mazda kept on going up. After that, it became 16, it became 18, it became 20 and 25 and 30 and 35 and 40. I think it went up to 42, 43, and then it dipped a bit. Now, I have a principle that, people, when the price goes up, people sell. And I say, for heaven's sake, don't sell when price is going up. Because you may sell and the price may go on rising after that and you feel like, not that you can time it perfectly. But when it is going up, don't sell. When it starts falling, at the beginning of the fall is when you should sell. When prices are falling, don't buy, because after you buy, they may go on falling. You again feel like a fool.
Yeah.
But when they start rising, at the beginning of the rising is, and therefore how to understand the turn in the market is an art and a skill. So when Mazda went up to 42, 43 and dipped 2, 3 rupees, you say now maybe the downturn might start again because this can't be a permanent rise. So we sold about half because just in case it started rising again, half the holdings we sold and kind of recovered all the investment that we had made over the years. And then Mazda started rising again. Again went up to 40, 45, 50, 60, 70. I think 70, 75. Again there was a dip. Then you said, I think I'm being too greedy now. Now if we sell the lot, we've recovered the holding cost, interest cost, everything. Then Mazda started rising again. 80, 90, 100, 150, 200, 300, 400, 1500 it went up to. And this example I often give of the price we pay. When you try to use your own intelligence and you say, company must be rigging the price, therefore it is going up. Do a little research for yourself, damn it. Why was Mazda rising? Because Harshad Mehta had bought it. And those days, anything Harshad Mehta would touch would go. I didn't bother. I mean, of course, there was no Google also. So, to do research, you have to be a little more, you have to put in much more effort. But see the price that one pays for assumptions, going on assumptions. Never ever do that. And today, you have so many avenues of research. Anyone who doesn't do and then suffers the consequences, I think deserves to suffer.